So you're thinking about making a move to Kelowna, BC? Well, you've come to the right channel. Welcome to Live Love Kelowna. All right, so in today's video, we're going to be talking about living in Kelowna versus living in Calgary. So I lived in Alberta for about 23 years, moving back to BC in 2021. The last 18 of those 23 were spent in Calgary. I actually did 5 years in Edmonton as well. We lived mostly on the northwest as well as on the west side of the city, and I did a little bit of a stint in the inner city of northwest Calgary. Now, I could probably go on and on about the differences between living in Calgary and living in Kelowna, but I'm just going to focus on 4 different areas to try to keep this video a little bit shorter than the rest of my videos on this channel. All right, so one of my favorite topics is the weather. It is absolutely gorgeous. It's October the 28th. It's probably about 15 or 16 degrees right now. Alternatively, in Calgary, I know that they got about 10 centimeters of snow just last week. So weather-wise, fall, absolutely gorgeous compared to Calgary at this moment. Now, the winters here in Kelowna are pretty mild, but that said, last year it was a little bit colder and a lot more snow than what they're used to. So there are years that are anomalies. However, most winters it's above zero, and when it does dip below freezing, it averages about -4 degrees. Now, Calgary, on the other hand, seems to skip fall and move right into the winter months, right around now, the end of October. It's not unusual to see snow in Calgary from October straight through until the end of April. Now, that being said, Calgary is one of the sunniest areas in the entire country with about 330 days of sunshine and around 2,400 hours compared to Kelowna's 2,200 hours. As for spring and summer in Kelowna, seems to actually have a spring with a snow melt starting in February, and it's crazy to think that you could be golfing by the mid to end of March. The average temperature in the spring is around 15 degrees, and most golf courses in Calgary open May long weekend. So there are some that open earlier if there's an opportunity, but those seem to be few and far between these days. Kelowna doesn't typically get a lot of rain in the spring, hence the reason for the forest fire season as the 5th unofficial season in the Okanagan. This year we definitely saw a lot more rain than what is normal, but it was definitely welcome because it cut down on the amount of forest fires that we saw here in the valley. All right, well, you guessed it. If I got to pick between Calgary and Kelowna, I'm picking Kelowna 100 times out of 100 for the weather. All right, so expenses. How affordable is Calgary versus Kelowna? I'm just going to come right out and say at the beginning of this part, Calgary hands down, Alberta hands down, has this in the bag. There's just no question. So let's start with the price of gas. There is a good 50-cent gap per liter between Calgary and Kelowna currently, end of October 2022. So this works out, at least for me, to around an extra $30 to $40 per tank of gas, and this can be fairly significant if you drive for a living. So next is groceries. Now, I know the cost of everything has gone up right now, but even when it wasn't, back in June of 2021, we saw a significant difference in what you would get in a quote-unquote bag of groceries. Believe it or not, fruit is more expensive here in Kelowna. That's like the price of gas being reversed. It would be like Calgary's average is $1.90 per liter and Kelowna is $1.30 per liter.
This is blasphemy. This is madness. This is Sparta!
So there's definitely a lot more to cover in terms of costs, but I'm going to try to cut this segment off and just talk a little bit about taxes. So yes, BC has a 7% provincial sales tax. Alberta does not. So that's 12% on everything versus only 5% in Alberta. Now, the other lovely tax that you get to pay when you make a move to BC is the land transfer tax, something that Alberta does not have. All right, so when you purchase a home here in beautiful British Columbia, the British Columbia government is going to take 1% of the first 200,000, 2% between 200,000 and 2 million, and then 3% up to $3 million, and then 2% over and above that $3 million. So on a $4 million purchase, if you've got that amount of money, your land transfer tax going to the provincial government would be a whopping $118,000. Like my old pappy used to say, if you can afford the Mercedes, you can afford the oil changes. All right, third on the list is the healthcare system. Yes, it's 2022 and the healthcare system across Canada seems to be completely messed up right now. But I will say, coming from what we knew in Alberta to what we are seeing here in BC, the differences are staggering. Okay, first we had a family doctor in Calgary for about 20 years when we lived there. When we moved to Kelowna, it took us about 6 months just to find a family doctor. We added ourselves to wait lists and then finally found a clinic that was accepting new patients all the way out in West Kelowna. We are happy to drive that distance simply because we have a family doctor that we really like. Beyond that, it's things like access to x-rays and MRIs and getting into physiotherapists. You know, Calgary/Alberta has BC beat in all of these areas all day long. Also, if you're an entrepreneur coming from Alberta and need extended benefits, I would definitely suggest shopping around. We had Alberta Blue Cross, which actually turned out to be a pretty good plan. Coming here to BC, there's all kinds of different Blue Crosses that are out there. They're not all created equal, and in comparison to Alberta Blue Cross, they really fall down. All right, last but not least, number 4 on the list, the outdoors. Now, I've done a few videos on things to do in and around Kelowna. In fact, we've got a playlist here on the channel. We as a family love to get outside. It's a large part of the reason why we moved here to Kelowna. We can be at a trailhead. I'm actually at Knox Mountain right now. You can't really see it because it's in the background, but I can usually be at a trailhead in about 15 minutes from my house if we walk there. We can be at the beach on Okanagan Lake in about 7 minutes from our home. We can head out mountain biking right from our door to Okanagan Mountain. If we wanted to hike some more, we can head over here to Knox Mountain, which is about a 15 to 20 minute drive from our house, and actually be on the path, which is right back over behind me, on our way to Paul's Tomb, which is a beautiful little hike. Now, I can be on the golf course in about 9 minutes from where I live, and of course there are pickleball courts, tennis courts, basketball, beach volleyball, very close to where we live. And in the wintertime, fantastic. We don't have to drive for an hour and a half to 2.5 hours to be, at a big mountain. We've got Big White, which is about 45 minutes from downtown Kelowna. All right, I'm going to try to be fair here and contrast that with Calgary. The vast majority of these activities are done outside of town, with the exception of the pickleball and the golf and, some hiking in the city in areas like Nose Hill or Douglas Fir Trail. Most of these things are a drive away from wherever you live in Calgary. You'd be packing up the bikes or packing for an afternoon to head out to a lake outside the city, unless, of course, you live in a lake community like Arbor Lake or Lake Bonavista. I believe there's actually about 7 lake communities now in the Calgary area. Now, that said, if the great didn't far outweigh the good, we never would have made the move. Calgary is a great city and an awesome place to raise a family. If you are looking for a slower pace and a climate where you can be outdoors pretty much all year round and not be locked inside, sheltering from the freezing cold, then the Okanagan is calling. Now, if you've got any questions about making a move to Kelowna, especially from Calgary, then you can reach out to me, shoot me a text, give me a call, 403-827-7527. Alternatively, you can always hit me with an email, Kelley@kelleyskar.com.